This is the retirement danger zone that could wipe out decades of careful saving in just a few short years. We're talking about the critical 10 years, 5 before and 5 after you retire, when your financial future hangs in the balance, and most people have no idea they're walking into a trap that threatens their 401k, IRA, and entire retirement strategy. You've spent your entire working life learning how to save and accumulate wealth, but retirement throws you into an entirely different game with completely different rules. Welcome to the decumulation phase, where the goal isn't building wealth anymore, it's strategically spending it down without running out before you die. And here's the shocking part. Most people who were successful enough to build a retirement nest egg never actually spend it. Studies show that retirees following traditional withdrawal strategies end up with 2.7 times their original savings at death. They literally died rich while living poor. But before we explore how to avoid that fate, we need to understand why this 10-year danger zone, also known in academic circles as the fragile decade, is so treacherous. It's called sequence of returns risk, and it's the silent killer of retirement dreams. Here's how it works. When your portfolio reaches its absolute peak size, right around retirement, a severe market downturn doesn't just hurt your returns, it devastates your long-term sustainability. You're not just losing money on paper anymore, you're actually withdrawing cash during the worst possible time, locking in those losses permanently. Think of it this way. Two retirees both start with $1 million. Both experience the exact same market returns over 30 years. The only difference is the order. Retiree A faces a brutal bear market in years 1 through 3, while retiree B faces that same bear market in years 28 through 30. Even though they experienced identical returns, retiree A runs out of money while retiree B dies wealthy. That's sequence of returns risk, and it explains why the timing of when you retire matters more than almost anything else. Leading retirement researcher Wade Pfau has extensively documented this phenomenon, showing how Monte Carlo simulations reveal the critical importance of these early retirement years. The statistics paint a sobering picture of retirement readiness in America. 80% of households with older adults, that's 47 million people, are either financially struggling today or at risk of economic insecurity as they age. The average 401k balance for Americans aged 55 to 64 is just $244,750, while most believe they'll need $1.25 million to retire comfortably. Perhaps most alarming, 45% of Americans could run out of money in retirement entirely. And it's not just about having enough saved. Americans are living longer than ever before. Life expectancy hit 79 years in 2024, its highest level ever. At age 65, you can expect almost 20 more years of life on average, with women living to about 86 and men to 83. But here's where it gets really interesting. The Society of Actuaries estimates that if you're married and both spouses reach 65, there's a 50% chance one of you will live to 93. That's potentially 28 years of retirement to fund, and you'll need to factor in Social Security claiming strategies, whether to start benefits at 62 with reduced payments, wait until full retirement age at 67, or delay until 70 for maximum benefits. Yet longevity literacy is shockingly poor. Only 32% of Americans can correctly answer a simple multiple-choice question about life expectancy. Another 35% actually underestimate how long they'll live, setting themselves up for a financial disaster decades in the making. Healthcare costs add another devastating layer to this challenge. Fidelity estimates that a 65-year-old retiring in 2025 will spend $172,500 on healthcare throughout retirement, and that's up over 4% from just last year. This figure doesn't even include Medicare premiums and supplemental coverage, but other estimates are far more sobering. Milliman suggests healthcare costs could reach $281,000 for men and $320,000 for women. Add in the possibility of long-term care, 3 years of assistance followed by 2 years in a nursing home, and you're looking at an additional $365,000. Here's the disconnect. The average American estimates healthcare will cost about $75,000 in retirement. They're off by more than half. This isn't just poor planning, it's a recipe for financial catastrophe when medical bills start arriving. The psychological impact of all this uncertainty is profound. Nearly 2/3 of Americans worry more about running out of money than they do about death itself. Among Generation X, that number jumps to 70%. Half of Americans think it's likely they'll outlive their savings entirely. Even among current retirees, nearly half say that spending money in retirement gives them anxiety. Research from Blanchett and Finke shows that retirees with guaranteed income sources like annuities actually spend twice as much as those relying solely on portfolio withdrawals, suggesting that income certainty dramatically improves retirement satisfaction. This fear isn't irrational, it's based on very real risk that simply didn't exist during the accumulation phase. Beyond sequence of returns risk, retirees face longevity risk, inflation risk, and tax risk. Longevity risk actually gets worse as you age and stay healthy. The longer you live, the more likely you are to eventually run out of money. Inflation forces higher withdrawals from your portfolio, amplifying the damage from any market declines. Tax risk means that future tax rates could change dramatically, affecting how much of your savings you actually get to keep. Plus, at age 73, required minimum distributions from traditional 401ks and IRAs force withdrawals regardless of market conditions or your actual spending needs. So how do you navigate this minefield? The famous 4% rule, created by William Bengen in 1994, suggested withdrawing 4% of your portfolio in the first year of retirement, then adjusting that dollar amount for inflation each year. It was groundbreaking research, but Bengen himself now says that people following the 4% rule are cheating themselves a little bit. His updated guidance suggests withdrawal rates between 4.7 and 5.5% depending on market conditions. But the 4% rule was never designed to maximize your retirement spending. It was designed to minimize your risk of running out of money. That conservative approach is why so many retirees end up dying with more money than they started with. Morningstar's latest research suggests starting withdrawal rates of 3.9% for steady spending. But that jumps to 5.7% if you're willing to be flexible with your approach. That flexibility is key, and it's where modern withdrawal strategies really shine. The bucket strategy, pioneered by Harold Evensky in 1985, divides your portfolio into 3 time-focused segments. Your now bucket holds 1 to 5 years of expenses in liquid low-risk assets. The soon bucket covers years 6 through 15 with moderately conservative investments. Your later bucket focuses on growth to replenish the other buckets and fight inflation over the long term. The guardrails approach, developed by Jonathan Guyton and William Klinger in 2006, offers even more flexibility. Instead of rigidly following the same withdrawal rate every year, you adjust based on portfolio performance. If your portfolio does well, you can increase your withdrawals. If it struggles, you temporarily reduce them. This approach can support starting withdrawal rates of 4 to 6% while still maintaining high success rates. Charles Schwab suggests a cash reserve strategy, keeping 1 year's worth of expenses in cash and another 2 to 4 years in short-term bonds. This gives you flexibility during market downturns, allowing your equity investments time to recover while you live off your reserves. The most sophisticated retirees also consider tax-efficient withdrawal sequencing, strategically drawing from taxable accounts first, then tax-deferred accounts like traditional 401ks and IRAs, and finally, tax-free Roth accounts. This approach can significantly extend portfolio longevity while managing your overall tax burden throughout retirement. The key insight across all these strategies is that successful decumulation requires active management and flexibility. Unlike the accumulation phase, where you could set up automatic contributions and largely ignore market volatility, decumulation demands attention and adaptation. Perhaps most importantly, you need to shift your mindset from wealth preservation to wealth utilization. The goal isn't to die with the most money possible, it's to maximize your lifetime satisfaction and security. That might mean spending more in early retirement when you're healthiest and most active, even if it means having less later. The decumulation phase represents one of the most complex financial challenges you'll ever face. The stakes are enormous. Get it wrong, and you could face decades of financial stress or even poverty. But get it right, and you can enjoy a retirement that's not just financially secure, but truly fulfilling. The danger zone is real, but it's not insurmountable. With proper planning, flexible strategies, and realistic expectations about longevity and healthcare costs, you can navigate these treacherous years successfully. The key is understanding that retirement isn't just about having enough money, it's about having the right strategy to make that money last for however long you need it to.